go. Friday already. We have so many good things to talk about. We're back in the seat, back in the saddle. Of course, we're going to talk about the UAW applying pressure to GM, Ford's EV investment drop, Hertz is back up from EVs, and a whole bunch of other stuff because it's Friday.
It's Friday.
I wish everyone could understand what happens before the show rolls in.
Like the 38 seconds right before we hit go.
Nobody would believe us if we told them.
Never. I was talking to someone this week. They were like, "So wait a second, you guys do a show every day. Who does the content?" And I was like, "Really? Who does the content for every day?" Okay. Yes.
Yeah, you're looking at them.
You're looking at them.
These two guys do the content. Oh man, we had a great time this week. We kind of split opposite sides. We've probably been as far away as we've ever been away.
Right.
Like you were up in Toronto. I was down in San Antonio, spending time trying to make this industry better. And so it's good to be back in the saddle. Literally before we hit play, I'm like, "Hey Kyle, hey Paul,
hey,
let's play this thing." What do we got? So episode 2 of More Than Cars launched this week or last week. Please go to morethancars.tv to see episode 2 at Beaver Toyota. It's a pretty amazing.
So I'm on the plane last night. Real quick. I'm on the plane.
I got one too on More Than Cars. You're gonna love this one.
Yeah. The lady sitting next to me, she's like, "What do you do?" She's very, she's one of those talkative ones. And she's like, "What did you do?" Telling her about what we do. And anytime I'm talking to anyone outside the industry, and I start to talk about More Than Cars because it's the thing that they can relate to.
That's right.
I pull it up. We're watching just a couple of the screens. I'm telling her about Beaver Toyota and what's going on. And she goes, "I would have no clue that any dealership would ever be able to pull that off."
That's what I'm talking
and
about.
I was like,
that's why we're making the show.
I can point to hundreds, potentially thousands that are doing that. And she goes, "I had no idea." She goes, wait a second. You're not telling dealership stories. You're telling people stories. I was like,
ding, ding, ding,
she nailed it. Ding, 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 ding.
I was getting coffee and the barista, she was asking me what I do. And I was telling her and she's like, "Oh, I'll check it out." Right. She's not going to check it out, but she's like, "I'll check it out." I step away with my coffee. There's a lady sitting there. She goes, "Hey, can I get a picture with you?" I was like, "Sure." She wasn't with the dealer, like just random coffee shop. She's like, "Yeah, I just heard what she said and I looked it up." And she goes, "I have a really like cringy boomer Instagram account. And so I want to post about it." I was like, "Sure."
It's perfect. There you go.
That's right. That's what we're doing. We're spreading the message to the people who have no idea it's even possible, which just proves that it needs to be done.
So good.
All right. We got to get into this. Hey,
we got to go.
Jordan, Nathan, can you queue up the new trigger pack? Because I didn't have time to load it into my Roadcaster. What is the new UAW update sound? Do we have that? It's not the sad trombone anymore. Oh, maybe we don't have it.
Jordan, you're in the show. Hit it.
Compromise. We're not too approved yet. I love it. That just made my morning, Jordan. Thank you. Was so good, we're going to play it twice. The UAW's negotiation with General Motors now is taking a new turn as the union proposed. The UAW proposed to GM a revised contract offer. Now the UAW is making offers. The move comes on the heels of promising tentative agreement with Ford we announced yesterday, setting the stage for some resolutions in the ongoing labor disputes. So basically, the deal yesterday with Ford, or 2 days ago, 25% wage increase over the next 4 years, reintroduction of cost of living adjustments. And the UAW President Shawn Fain said ending the strike at Ford will pressure GM and Stellantis to also reach a deal. A little peer pressure there. Yeah. Both GM and Stellantis expressed intentions to reach a swift tentative agreement. So, of course, now currently GM and Stellantis are at 23%. So they got 2% to go.
Well, it's like now you just know the target, right? So then it's just an internal discussion on whether or not
how do we get there?
Target. Yeah. Yep. It's like, or maybe you do something slightly different so your people feel, so that your union workers feel a little bit better or something like that. And
absolutely, we did.
And you have that unique, little USP as a brand, but really it's like, that's the target. Are we willing to go there?
Yeah. And I guess that's it. I mean, it's pretty simple at this point. The plane's on its way down with Ford. Stellantis and GM know what path they have to take to get the plane on the ground. It feels like, probably maybe by today, but feels good.
I would just love for Monday to be our last UAW update, and we can just keep rocking this.
I don't think it'll be ratified that quick, but it'll be ratified quickly.
Fair.
Once they can tell. It's funny. Yesterday, I was with a bunch of dealers, about 50, with Glenn Lundy's 800% Club, and one of the questions, one of the dealers was like, "Look, the feeling is that this strike could last for months." And that is like some of presiding sentiment, but like then the news dropped, and then it was like whoosh, or not. Speaking of or not.
So that's a good one.
So a couple of articles on CNBC. CNBC actually kind of came to the top of our attention, both around EVs. The first one is Ford making significant adjustments to its EV strategy and deferring around, now that the contract is signed, and deferring around $12 billion in projected investments for EV manufacturing facilities, noting the shift in North American consumer behavior, their decrease in willingness to pay a premium for EVs. So basically, lower than anticipated growth and enthusiasm. We've been seeing this and talking about this. CFO John Lawler said, the customer is going to decide what the volumes are. Ford is able to balance projection of gas, hybrid, and electric vehicles to match the speed of EV adoption in a way that others can't.
Where's my "I told you so" button?
Yeah.
Where's that on the trigger pad?
We're not those kind of people, but a trigger pad button in like a sarcastic way, we'd be able to hit that quite a bit, actually.
Right.
He continued on by highlighting that Ford isn't backing off or retracting from upcoming EV models, but is just reconsidering the speed at which they will increase manufacturing capability to do that. Their EV business unit, Ford Model E, reported a $1.3 billion operating loss in the third quarter, doubling its loss from the previous year, even with a 26% revenue hike.
Yeah, they are a startup. It's very clear. Startups have to adjust. They're doing that.
I've heard that somewhere.
Yeah, we may or may not have experienced that in our own lives. And then like when the thing here is the EVs are not going away. That's what I'm convinced of. It's not going away.
No.
It's the pace, it's where, it's who are going to deliver these in what timelines. And I think that Ford saying, hey, and it's probably because they did so much to change the fact that they have these two business entities actually allows them to pivot quicker than if they would have just like bundled it all in one.
That's a great point. That is a great point. So yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens. I think everyone that's on the ground has known this truth for a long time.
Yep.
Right. I think everyone on the pop culture side that was listening to, kind of government rhetoric and just pop culture rhetoric think it's like, oh, great. But, we know this is true. It's nice to see an OEM saying like, all right, we're going to pump the brakes.
Right. Yep.
Or just let our foot off the gas and it'll regeneratively brake.
Speaking of regeneratively braking and letting your foot off the gas.
There you go.
Stop.
All applies.
Hertz is throwing on the brakes following lower than expected earnings and is rethinking their once enthusiastic shift toward EVs as well, due to including higher repair expenses and a decrease in EV resale values, primarily influenced by Tesla's pricing strategies and parts availability. Initially, Hertz aimed to acquire a massive amount of EVs for its fleet.
Yep.
However, repair costs and just what they're committing now is significantly changing. Their previous agreement was for 100,000 cars from Tesla and 175,000 EVs from GM. However, the goal originally of having a quarter of its EVs come from, or a goal of its total inventory be EVs, just not looking like it's going to happen. So massive change. And it's wild because so much of what happens, and if you know from the dealership side, so much of what happens to the resale of these is basically Hertz takes them and after a certain amount of time has to resell them to dealers, and their profitability is significantly impacted by that and their ability to rent it and manage the rental prices in that time. And so if they can't meet the resale values that they were originally expecting, man, that's a significant blow to their profit.
So I think the original target was that a quarter of their fleet would be all electric by 2024. So by next year, and they're backing way off that. And they're saying, wait, I didn't have enough time to find this, but I'm pretty sure we did a story within the last year about a rental company, and I think it was Hertz, saying how much cheaper they are to actually maintain.
Whoa.
No, I know it's in there. We'll find it because it was like less oil changes, more uptime, all this. And they were like, that's why our profits are up. I wish I could have found it this morning. But
they don't have, like, normally, even with their regular vehicles, it's not like they have a massive output on regular maintenance. Their output is on collision. And that's what they're pointing to, is that collision repair expenses, because of parts availability and the requirement of going to certain to
I don't think it's just collision though, just because there's a, I wasn't able to put the notes in there, but basically the whole lane was like talking about tires and suspension and because of the increased torque and the heavier vehicle. So I think what we're learning here is that it's way more complicated than the rose-colored glasses everyone's been looking through, and that's whether you're an OEM, whether you're a rental car company. And I think the EV bubble is being popped, and we're realizing, oh, it's like mostly or a lot of it is kind of like rhetoric and just talk. And now we're finally understanding, oh, you know what? We can't live in a utopia. It's going to actually take a little work, a lot of transition. So talk about a learning experience.
What a learning experience.
So speaking of learning experiences,
we're headed to one right now.
Kyle and I are heading over to the All Things Used Car Room by David Long on Clubhouse. We hope you can join us there for a conversation. What's the topic today? It's a big one. Brian Kramer's in the room.
Yeah, Carvana's value tracker and its effect on the industry.
Ooh, good one. Whatever happens on the weekend, we hope you have a great one.